Atomic Habits was wrong about willpower and streaks. Almost half of what you do every day, 43%, already runs automatically from a part of your brain the book ignores. And the right protocol wires new habits straight into it. A scientist named Wendy Wood put that number on it, timing people's days action by action. So forget grinding, forget never breaking the chain. Tonight, I'll show you where your habits really live, in the 4 moves that wire them there. I wanted to know why a habit that looks so easy on paper, drink more water, read 10 pages, falls apart by the second week. The answer wasn't weak willpower. It was a mix-up about which part of your brain does the job. You have 2 systems, and they fight over every habit you start. The book handed the work to the one built to give up. Follow the trail I followed, and the system you should actually be feeding stops being a mystery, and why feeding it has almost nothing to do with trying harder. The trail starts with those 2 systems, because everything rests on the gap between them. The front of your brain, right behind your forehead, runs your willpower. Every choice you weigh, every urge you fight. Call it the deciding brain. It's strong, but it tires fast, and it runs low by evening. Deeper in, older and quieter, sits a cluster of parts called the basal ganglia, your automatic engine. It doesn't decide a thing, it just runs patterns it already learned, cheaply, without asking you. The part nobody explains is this. When you repeat an action enough, control slides from the deciding brain over to that engine. It's the same handoff you felt when you learned to drive. At first, every mirror check took real thought. Now the whole route home runs itself while your mind is on dinner. A habit is that handoff, finished. Which means the whole point of a habit is that it no longer needs willpower. So any method that keeps leaning on willpower has missed what a habit even is. So how long does that handoff take? A researcher named Philippa Lally at University College London followed 96 people. Each one built a new daily habit and rated how automatic it felt every single day. The average crossed into automatic at 66 days, not the 21 that everyone repeats. Some got there in 18 days. Some took most of a year. But the finding that should end the street chase is this one. When people missed a day, it barely mattered. One skip day cost them less than half a point, and they climbed right back the next day. Automatic habits build along a curve that rises fast, then flattens toward a ceiling. A single gap doesn't knock you off it. So never break the chain, the whole streak rule, is built on a fear the data just doesn't back. Miss a Tuesday, and your brain does not reset to 0. People chasing a perfect streak quit after 1 slip, for a reason the biology can't even see. If effort isn't the engine, and streaks aren't the glue, something else has to do the wiring. That something is a chemical you've heard blamed for every bad habit, dopamine. And it works almost backwards from the way the book uses it. A scientist named Wolfram Schultz watched dopamine fire in the brain while a reward was learned. At first, the spike came at the reward itself, the payoff you were chasing. But as the pattern repeated, the spike moved. It slid earlier onto the cue, the signal that the reward was coming. The brain stopped cheering the prize and started firing at the trigger that pointed to it. Follow what that does to a habit. The load-bearing part of the loop isn't the reward you hand yourself at the end. It's the cue at the start. So the old advice, finish the workout, then reward yourself, isn't wrong, it's just late. Now, this is reward learning work, a mechanism more than a promise about your Tuesdays, and I won't oversell it, but it's one of the most reliably reproduced findings in brain science, and it points where everything else points. The trigger, not the treat, is where a habit gets built. That was the moment the whole willpower story fell apart for me. Your habits didn't fail because you're lazy or broken. They failed because you built them with the deciding brain, the system that runs on effort and clocks out by night. And a habit, by its very nature, is a thing that runs without you. Any plan that leans on motivation has already lost the moment your motivation dips, which it always does. And there's a second cost, heavier than a missed workout. Each time you force a habit with raw willpower and then slip, you don't just lose a day. You teach yourself a story, that you're someone who can't stick to anything. And that belief kills more habits than any missed Tuesday ever could. But turn the same facts around and they hand you the way out. Stop feeding the tired, deciding brain. start wiring the automatic engine head on. So what does that engine actually run on?
It runs on two things, and the first is context.
Wendy Wood, the scientist we started with, spent her career showing that habits aren't triggered by choices at all. They're triggered by your surroundings. The same chair, the same time, the same doorway. Her sharpest finding is what happens when those surroundings break. When people move house or switch jobs, their habits fall apart and reset, the good ones and the bad ones alike, because the cues they were wired to just vanished. It's why your gym routine dies the week you travel, and why the easiest time to fix a diet is right after a move, which flips the usual advice on its head. Just decide to be more disciplined, aim straight at the deciding brain, the one system you already know runs dry. The automatic engine never took orders from your choices. It only ever answered the room you were standing in.
The second thing it runs on is timing.
And here the brain does something almost clever. Graybiel, a scientist at MIT, recorded the automatic engine while animals ran a routine they'd already learned. The cells didn't fire evenly across the whole thing. They fired hard at the start, went quiet through the middle, then fired again at the finish. The engine wraps each habit in a pair of bookends, a start signal and a stop signal, and lets the messy middle run itself in between. Andrew Huberman calls using this on purpose task bracketing. You don't manage the whole habit, you nail the opening and the close. And that closing bookend is exactly where dopamine stamps the loop shut. It's the small hit of done that teaches the trigger to fire again next time. The parts that carry a habit aren't the grind in the middle, they're the edges, what starts it, and how you mark it done. And this is exactly where James Clear's advice quietly works against you. Willpower leans on the deciding brain, the system that tires. Lean on watching a chart, something the automatic engine never uses. And reward yourself later mistimes the one chemical that does the wiring. Every one of those moves aimed at the wrong machine. So you were never lazy, you never lacked willpower. You were handing the one job the deciding brain can't hold to the only system built to hold it. The fix isn't more effort, it's aiming the same effort at the automatic engine. It takes 4 moves, and you can begin the first tonight. The protocol runs 4 moves, and each one aims at the engine instead of your willpower. It starts with an anchor. You pick a cue that already happens every day without fail. Your first coffee, brushing your teeth, closing your laptop, and glue the new habit right behind it in the same spot each time. You're not picking a moment you feel ready. You're borrowing a trigger the engine already answers. Then you shrink the thing down until the version in front of you is so small it drops under the line where willpower is even needed. 2 push-ups, 1 page, 1 spoken sentence. The rep is the wiring, not the result. And a tiny rep done daily beats a heroic one you dread. Next, you mark the finish. The second you're done, you close it with something that says done. A check on paper, a quiet beat of credit, even the words said out loud. Because that closing bookend is where the trigger gets its charge. And after that, you simply repeat, in the same context, for about 66 days, holding to one rule about slipping. You may miss once, never twice. 1 gap costs you almost nothing because the curve holds. 2 in a row is how a fresh cue quietly gets erased. And notice what you're tracking now. Not a streak on a wall, but whether the trigger and the place stayed the same. That's the whole protocol. Not willpower, not a perfect chain. A borrowed cue, a rep too small to resist, a marked finish, and 66 days of holding the context steady, while your basal ganglia, that automatic engine, quietly takes the wheel. Remember the number we opened with. 43% of your day already running on its own with no willpower at all. That was never your problem. That's the target. Almost half your life is already automatic. The only real question is whether you wired it on purpose or let it wire you. James Clear pointed at the right loop, then told you to power it with the one system that clocks out at night. The automatic engine was there the whole time, waiting for a steadier signal. I'm building this series on the boring machinery of behavior, the parts that actually move the needle. Next, I'll run this same engine in reverse. How to break a habit you hate using the exact wiring that built it. Take 1 cue tonight and start.